wanted to start off though with Jim Knowles, former Oklahoma State Cowboys defensive coordinator. He's going to finish up the bowl game there. He won't start with Ohio State until after the New Year's Day 6 bowls are all wrapped up to the start of the new year. So he'll get to finish with his team and, in Oklahoma State, and Ohio State won't have to announce or make any changes officially until after that point. And this is where it gets a little dicey when we start talking about some of these coaching hires, these guys that move around a little bit. You're recruiting guys right now, and you have the early signing window. And the early signing window was designed so guys didn't get their scholarships pulled. Well, the problem with that is now is all the coaches are sitting here and they're pressuring up, and they want these guys to commit and to sign as early as possible. So they want them to sign during this early signing period. Well, you have coaching changes that are going to probably come after that. And that's going to be a little bit bumpy. It's going to be dicey for some of these recruits because they will probably be committing to someone who may not be there. And that's for all of college football. So there's movement that's going to happen. You're going to see this. And I was a huge proponent of the early signing period, but right now with how it's going on, there's got to be a better way to do it. But that's going to take the presidents, the ADs to be able to get into a room and agree to some ground rules. And as we saw, and we'll get into with Mark Emmert, who knows if that's possible because of how difficult their jobs can be. But Jim Knowles, his defense at Oregon State, one of the best in the country, 4th in total defense, 1st in yards per game, or 3rd in yards per game, 1st in sacks. I mean, they were really good, 5th in rush yards per game, one of the better defenses you're going to find, really, 2nd behind Georgia and behind Wisconsin. So he did a really good job. And so Jim Knowles, older dude, he's been doing this thing for over 30 years. He doesn't have that Nick Saban pedigree or anything like that, but he's bounced around a little bit. What I like about him when I saw this, number one, is he was a player at Cornell. I like guys who play in the Ivy League as coaches. I played for a couple of them. And I always say this, there's a lot of coaches out there who are good at their jobs, but there aren't necessarily a lot of coaches that would be good at jobs in normal society. Jim Knowles, when he got out of Cornell, he worked on Wall Street for a year. I mean, he had other things. He just loved football, wanted to get back into it. I played for a coach, Matt Burke, my linebacker coach in Detroit. Went to Dartmouth. He's a really smart dude. Bill Belichick, really smart dude. Smart guys usually make really good coaches. Now, you can argue how good of head coaches are they. Matt Patricia, he was an aeronautical engineer, struggled in Detroit, but did a great job as the Patriots DC. But these guys, they look at problems a little bit of a different way, and they're always thinking outside of the box. And so I love when I look at Jim Knowles' history. Played at Cornell, bounced around a little bit, comes back to Cornell, works his way through, becomes a head coach there. Doesn't have a ton of success at Cornell. 26 and 34 as the head coach. Not great. But then after that, goes to Duke with David Cutcliffe. And he's there for 7-8 seasons. He's the defensive coordinator, but he's also the safeties coach. He coaches inside linebackers. The guy, he played some edge, defensive end. He's got a full, well-rounded understanding of what a defense should look like. And so if you go watch Oklahoma State play, you get a sense of that. You get a feeling of it and why it looks so good and why it works so well. And so he's going to run a 4-2-5. And this is basically what everybody runs now, with some version of this, with 5 defensive backs on the field at all times, because with the proliferation of the spread offense, 3, 4, 5 wideouts, you can't have your old school 4-3-3-4, with 7 true box players. You need, what they would call a nickel standing up and is kind of a DB hybrid safety linebacker guy, at least at the minimum. He's going to do that. Talks about playing the jack position, kind of a stand-up defensive end, move that guy around. It gives you a lot of versatility. Gives you the versatility to go 4 down, go 3 down. You can move around a little bit. So I'm curious to see what he'll play on the back end at Ohio State and how he's going to be able to institute his culture and what he likes to do. He's a really sharp guy. He says he goes into a room for game planning, watches film, comes out with a legal pad, boom, 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 hammers it all down. And this is how we're going to attack this offense. That's kind of his philosophy of how he likes the game plan. Now, one challenge for him will be at Ohio State is when he was at Oklahoma State this year, they were really good. And usually when you're really good, there's a reason for that. You have great players and maybe you have experienced players. All of their starters were 4th-year players or older. And they had, I believe, 1 or 2 6th-year players given the extra COVID year. So he had a very veteran defense. They could do a lot of stuff. They were smart. They could execute at an extremely high level. When you have all those things, it gives you the ability to do a heck of a lot more than maybe you would with if you had a younger team. And so this is one of the things with Ohio State. Ohio State is young. They're one of the youngest teams in college football this year. It's not going to bode well. It's not going to be easy. Now, a lot of those guys should be coming back, should be getting some experience. There's some guys entering the portal. They'll pull some guys out of the portal. But Jim Knowles, the new defensive coordinator at Ohio State, curious how this coaching staff, the carousel, will spin on the defensive side of the ball. You got Larry Johnson there, Al Washington, Matt Barnes, Kerry Combs, all kind of working over there. We'll see who stays and who leaves. And kind of how they structure this is Jim Knowles kind of a walk around guy, or will he have a position group in a room? They say he loves to deal with the linebackers, and hopefully that'll be a situation where he can lock in with them and really get them to a point where they're playing at a high level. Because that's something that Ohio State has had for so long, is linebackers that play really well. And in the last handful of years, that's kind of fallen off. Great secondary, great corners, great defensive ends. But being a former linebacker, I want to see linebackers that can go out there and really dominate, be physical, and play at an extremely high level. So that's incredibly important for me to see that and watch and be able to get that done. So Jim Knowles, new defensive coordinator at Ohio State, and excited to get him in here. He looks like a football dude. He's a rough and tumble guy, and excited to watch him coach this entire defense and hopefully specialize on the linebackers a little bit as well.